Yeah.
I just remember because we were sitting we had some great conversations in Germany. We were sitting and we were talking, and we talked about hook and top roll, and I said, like, you know, how back pressure is more important at the top, and you said, yeah, there's no real point in doing hook. And then you had match versus Genadi, and you're like, damn, I need some hook.
Yeah. Total wake-up call. Genadi was it's interesting, you know, how you get very influenced by, I always tell people, the most important, you want to learn how to arm wrestle, structure your growth a certain way, where the most important part of your growth, the most important thing, is competition. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get better at competition. So you have to have regular competition. Competition is your teacher. That's your number one teacher, is what happens in competition. All the lessons that you learn from the ready goes, for the high stakes, for the no bullshit, just, that's the truth. Competition. And from there, you take all your lessons and you disseminate it into your training, which is, you know, your table practice and your weightlifting and lifestyle, whatever. And, you know, the more important the match, the more important the lesson, you know. So, you know, if you go off to a local tournament and you do well or do bad, and, you know, okay, that's a lesson. But if you go to like a world championship or a title shot, this lesson is more important. The things you learn there are more important. And so much of my truth, I'll say, has come from the very highest levels, okay? Like Levan, okay? When I pulled Levan, I'm like, okay, the most important piece is this. And it was so clear to me. It's like, if you can't get this, you're fucked. And that's where, you know, I started to just cut everything. And I'm just like, rise and roll, rise and roll. This is what's going to win you the match. And then I stuck with that for a long time. And then, and I think a lot, and you saw all the big wins all around the world were happening with floppers press. You know, lots of high-level matches were being decided by the flop
for like 3 months, like insane.
Yeah, everybody's flopping for the win, and it's like, man, I'm like, there is a shift going on. I think because we all kind of, I think the sport we all kind of evolved together, you know, and I think that there's kind of this flow between inside and outside, and the high hand and the roll, that's never going away. But this trump card of shoulder commitment it forces you to have inside game. It forces it. So yeah, since Genadi, I've done a ton. Like, as soon as I lost to Genadi, through Dave, through Hermes, I did lots of inside work, and I still am. I'm doing lots of inside work. Yeah, I still think this is the most important thing, all this stuff. But you better have an inside game. If the guy knows how to arm wrestle and he can bring his shoulder forward, and a lot of guys can, you better have it. You better have it.
Yeah, it was weird seeing you kind of gassing out in that position, just because you were like, I don't think you arm wrestled in that position for quite some time. You're always kind of open more, right? On back pressure, rise and roll. And our opponents, like you said, like, if it's a final match, doesn't matter the tournament, and then you lose in a tough match, that's the best teacher, right? You're like, okay, I almost beat him. Let me learn my lessons here, right? It doesn't matter, but people go out and compete if you want to be better at arm wrestling, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Number one thing you got to do. You got to put the theories to test. Yeah.
And then you'll figure everything out. Everything will come to you, right? You will understand where your strengths, where your weaknesses, and everyone always asks me, like, what's my technique? What's the best technique? I'm like, what should I focus on more? Whatever makes you win more matches, that's what you should be focusing on, right? And everything else, like, keep adapting to win more matches where you're losing, right?